Hey guys, I'm Jackie Emig, realtor in Colorado. I want to talk to you today about credit score. I know that's super exciting too, isn't it? If you're a buyer who has struggled with your credit score, you know how important this is and how frustrating it can be, or how much it can work to your advantage. So it really just depends on where you're at, where your score is at. So let's dive in. I want to give you some tips also, ways that you can boost it if you're struggling with that. Just simple things, all right? We're not going to go crazy. If you're struggling with your credit score, you may want to get some help from a financial advisor. I am not a financial advisor, but I have sat with both renters and buyers who have literally been in tears because they don't have the credit score that makes them eligible for certain rentals or certain loan programs, all right? So let's dive in. When we're talking about this, I'm going to kind of approach it from a lender's perspective, just so you know. Just tell you like what it is that they're seeing, or what kind of goes through what their thinking is, I should say. All right, credit ranges from 300 to 850. There are a few outliers to this. People who have no credit history, and then there are some that have above 850. If you are one of those people, congratulations. You're amazing with your finances, and we should applaud you. Most of us, that's so few. Not very many people have that. And don't make that your goal, right? Let's just try and get up into that very good to excellent range that you see up here. That would be amazing, and you're really going to have a lot of good loan options and rates available to you if you are in that category. Now, if you're in the very poor, which is 300 to 579, well, here's a tip for you. Before we get to the tips, I'm going to throw out one for you. If you find that you're in that category, something you can do is find a local lender or program that offers a program for you to increase that, all right? There are some lenders who have in-house programs where they really walk side by side with buyers to help get them out of that so that they do become eligible for certain loan programs, all right? Every loan program is going to have a different rate and different criteria. Even if you're in that good range of 620 to 739, I know that 620 still feels good, but right now with coronavirus and all the chaos that's happened, banks have kind of, or lenders I should say, have kind of tightened their belt and have raised a lot of their criteria as far as who they're willing to borrow to and what their scores look like, their credit score. For example, I work with a lot of military buyers and sellers. The VA themselves don't set a credit limit, or I'm sorry, not a credit limit, but a credit score criteria themselves. But lenders who offer VA loans do, and a lot of those have adjusted to 660 for the time being. So that could change again, but right now that's what we're looking at. All right, let's dive into what your credit score is actually comprised of, so that you can kind of figure out what you should target and be a little more specific as far as what you're doing and how you do it, all right? So first of all, payment history. Your payment history is going to be the biggest chunk of your credit score and how it's calculated. That's actually 35%. That's huge. So over a third is just your payment history, all right? A lender is looking to make sure that you have no delinquencies and no derogatories, meaning you're not late on payments, and also that you're not playing the payment roulette, basically where you're kind of picking and choosing who you pay each month because you're struggling to pay all of your bills. Second one, credit utilization. That actually is going to be a huge chunk as well, at 30%. Credit utilization is basically how much you use versus how much is available to you. So let's say you have 2 credit cards. The limits between the two are $10,000. Your goal is to not have more than 30%. So to not use more than $3,000 out of the $10,000 that's available to you. If you're struggling to be at that 30%, the next threshold is actually 50%. So make that your first goal if you find that you've used 80% of what's available to you. But ultimately, you're going to want to get it to that 30% or less, all right? Third, credit history. That's just length of time. How long have you had established credit? Number 4, credit inquiries. It's a tongue twister for me. I don't do it very well. So that's actually going to make up 10%. There are 2 types of credit inquiries, soft and hard. Having a soft inquiry is going to be somebody who's just verifying your credit, and hard inquiries are going to be when you're actually applying for things. Hard inquiries will impact you more negatively than the soft. Soft isn't going to do a lot unless you do a whole bunch of soft inquiries or have a whole bunch of them. But having several hard inquiries would negatively impact you for sure. Number 5, down at the bottom here, types of credit. That's going to be 10% as well. There are actually 3 different categories for this. There's revolving, which is going to be credit cards, HELOC, which is home equity line of credit, or lines of credit. The second one is going to be installment. Those are things that have like a defined beginning and defined end. Things like car loans or home loans, things of that nature. And then the third thing are going to be open, which are cell phone, utility bills, rent, things that you have monthly payments on, but yeah, they're not necessarily loans, all right? So that's going to be 10%. As far as quick ways to boost, let's talk about that, because that's really what we're in it for, right? We want to have good credit scores, I understand, because then you have more options and better rates, and that's a great thing. So one thing you can do as far as your payment history goes, if call your utility companies, find out whether or not they report your credit. All right, a lot of them don't unless you're severely delinquent, then they will report negative things, which we don't want. So if you have really good history with your utilities, paying them on time and paying them in full, call them, ask them if they'd be willing to report that for you, because that's going to give you a nice little boost, okay? Especially considering that's 35%. Not only is it going to boost you there, but it could boost you in the credit history, all right? It could actually help you in a few different areas, but having good payment history is really going to be a huge impact for your credit score. All right, also, as far as credit utilization, there are 2 different things that I can recommend you do. One is actually to request a credit increase on your credit cards. I know that seems really backwards, but if you increase the top end as far as what's available to you, then that percentage and how much you've already used goes down. So it's a smaller percentage of what the top end is. All right, that's going to be a quick and easy thing to do. I just have to caution you though, it can seem like a really good idea, and it can be a really good idea. Just make sure though, if you're increasing your credit limit, that you're not also increasing your spending, all right? That's going to just do more damage than good. I don't want to see you put yourself in a bad situation like that. Also, one thing for you, if you're planning on paying off an account, don't close it. All right, you still want to see that top end be as high as possible while having what you have actually borrowed or used at a minimum. So don't close it, just shred the card, get rid of it, not get rid of it. You don't need cards just wandering out there. Just shred it, don't use it, all right? As far as credit history goes, if you don't have a long-standing credit history, then actually piggyback off of somebody else. This is a really cool thing you can do. If you have a grandparent or a parent or somebody, an aunt, uncle, somebody you trust, someone who trusts you, and if they have good credit history and have a really good credit score, ask them if they would be willing to add you to one of their accounts, maybe one of their credit cards or things of that nature, because you actually inherit their credit history. So for that account, I should say, not all of their credit history, just for that account. My caution for you on that one though is also, if they get into trouble with that account, that also can impact you negatively. So just know what it is that you're asking. And I should also say, you don't even have to have access to the account. You don't have to use the account. You don't need to have transactions there. Just asking them to add you to their account will actually, you'll inherit that. So that's a cool thing. And then one last thing for credit inquiries. This isn't really a thing that's going to help you boost it, but at least help you as far as not having a whole bunch of pulls on your credit. You're, like I said before, having soft inquiries aren't going to be as bad as hard inquiries, but don't shop around. It just doesn't look good to lenders. It looks like you're kind of shopping anybody and everybody, like you're just trying to find the best rate. It may even look like they're going to look at it and be like, well, why aren't they using anybody else that they have gone with? Maybe they're not eligible. It's going to make it look as though you couldn't get a loan with them. All right, so that's not going to help you as far as how you look to the lender, but also it's going to have a negative impact if you have a whole bunch of hard pulls. All right, so my advice to you, don't do that. Definitely work with a real estate agent. Find out who they recommend for a lender. So there are so many good lenders out there. There are some that offer programs for people who are struggling with their credit score and struggling to kind of get into a position to buy a house. There's just so many good options and so many people who want to help you. So get with the right people and make it happen. Thanks so much, you guys. I hope that this helped you kind of understand what goes into your credit score and some quick and easy ways for you to boost it. I'll see you soon.